So I thought for one of my first videos I'd do a story time, and these are going to be some things you might want to know or the companies don't want you to know before you work in the oil field, preferably frac sand, because that's what I did. So to begin with, most frac sand companies that you work for are going to be companies that have the trailers, and then you'll work for a owner operator that has the trucks, because the companies will subcontract the trailers to the owner operators, and then owner operators work for a company moving that sand for them. So having said that, it's going to give you a headache to begin with, because you got company rules, owner operator rules, and not all the time they work together. So you'll play monkey in the middle from time to time, or the company wants you to do something, the owner operator doesn't want you doing that thing, and then you're getting yelled at by the company or the dispatcher or the owner operator. So it's a headache to begin with, but it gets worse. I wish it didn't, but it does. So a lot of times you're going to be working on the oil field, and this is just for Midland and Odessa. This is the area I worked at. You're going to be working 100 aerial miles from the office to the wells, so you're not running logs. And some people like that, some people hate that. I hate it because you're on call 24/7. A lot of times I would get up around 6 or 7, I call, check in, and I might not even get sent out to get a load until 8, 9, 10 in the morning when I checked in, or afternoon when I checked in at like 8 in the morning. I wouldn't get something until like 10 at night. And if you are going to sleep at that time and you don't take the load, they'll just throw you to a bomb or take you off the list, and then next morning you got to do the whole thing. It's a huge cycle. So a lot of times that happens, and frac sand is a big game of hurry up and wait. And what that means is the well site will order the sand, the dispatcher will call you, you'll go get the sand, you'll pick you up at the well site, you'll run it to the staging pad, and then you might sit there for 2 to 4 hours, because a lot of times the wells will pre-order the sand and they'll start the next stage, and you won't be able to load it till they're done or till they need it, and you could sit there for hours. And you're not getting paid for that. You're only getting paid for the load. So it is a big game of hurry up and wait. To also caveat on that, if the well goes down, say you're waiting on the staging pad, you're loaded, and the well breaks down, you're just going to sit there until it comes back up. And again, you're not getting paid to sit there. Only one time have I heard they paid, and I never saw the money. There's also, working for some of these companies, there's a lot of hearsay and thearsay, and it always creates problems, because the company will say, hey, we paid your owner this much, your owner's saying you paid this much, and not all the times the math adds up. Could just be the person I work for. I will say I'll probably do another story on the person I work for, because he was shady and he ripped me off a couple times. Actually, he held one of my paychecks from me. Said, oh, I thought you said I could keep it. I'll do a story on that one later. But so it is a big game of get out there and then you'll sit there and wait. And a lot of times you'll get out there and you won't have any internet service or even cellular service. So you're just stuck there. Hopefully you can get some sleep. But I will say that happened a lot. And then dispatchers, I don't know if that was all the dispatchers, but the company I worked for, there was one lady, I'm going to call her L. She loved to cause so many problems. I don't know why she never got fired. Matter of fact, one time she told me that I'm just going to report and we'll see who's here at the end of the day. They love to cause drama. And if you're looking for a job that will give you peace of mind, this probably won't be the job for you. And for the oil field, there's 3 styles of sand transportation. There's sandboxes, pneumatics, and belly dumps. And I did belly dump. So having said that, some of the other things you don't understand or might not even know about is the oil field. Everyone's trying to get their hands into it, so a lot of the times you'll get a rate sheet at the beginning of the month that might say for 62 miles is paying $12, and by the end of the month that rate sheet might be $10.50 because someone else said they could do it for less, and it's just a cutthroat business of you constantly getting ripped off. Another thing is, people will tell you, oh, if you come out here you'll make $100,000, and it is possible, but for frac sand I really don't believe it's possible. I wish it was, but in all honesty, you're gonna be broke a lot of the times. The roads out there are terrible. You're gonna be driving down these lease roads between a mile to 10 miles, and they're just dirt roads that get graded real quick, and then they have pothole washouts. You might get stuck in the mud. I know one guy got stuck, and while you're doing this, you're just destroying that truck every time, and it's breaking down, and when you're broken down, you're not making money. Furthermore, it's so expensive to live out there. I mean, the grocery store, I was in Monaghan's, and the grocery store was a Lowe's grocery store, and a bag of ramen was 50 cents. Like, just for the generic 33 cents or 30-cent bag, it was 50 cents for a bag of ramen. Milk was almost $5 a gallon. It was like you're living in Alaska a lot of the time, and it sucked because you're out there, you're just trying to make it by, and every time you turn around you're just losing money. And if you're in the mood for trying to find a job that will give you the benefit of making that money, and you're thinking this is the solution, it really isn't. You're gonna lose a lot of sleep. You're gonna deal with a lot of headaches, and a lot of times the problems aren't your problems, but they become your problems because the company wants you to solve everything. And then if you do take a load, say like 1 week I was working, or one day I had just finished my second load and I was dead tired, and I called my dispatcher. I was like, hey, I can't do another one, I need to go take time off to get some sleep. And she just lost it on me. She's like, oh, I see how you're always doing this, blah 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 blah, you can never do your job. And she's like, well, I'll give this to someone else, they all want these loads. And I was like, okay, just do that, I don't care. So she took that load off of me, gave it to someone else, and I went back to the truck stop, parked. The next morning I get a phone call from the owner saying, well, why did you have a fight with the dispatcher last night? I was like, no, I told the dispatcher I couldn't do the next run, give it to someone else, and that was it. And she told me how I was terrible and all this, and the owner's like, well, I don't want you fighting with my dispatchers. There's also a lot of lying and just shady shit happens. Not allowed to say the bad words, but so you're gonna have a lot of headaches in the oil field. It's just the nature of the beast, I guess. But if you're also looking into getting into it, I will look into maybe joining one of the big three, Halliburton, Liberty, or Next Tier. They have a lot better incentives and they do pay really well. But a lot of times you're gonna be on schedules, like it's usually like a 14 on 7 off or 21 on 7 off. They have like man camps you'll live in, but it's a lot better. To also follow that, this is gonna be an interesting thing. So I had a buddy try to buy a truck from the oil field, and it had like 450,000 miles. It was a 2009 W900, and the trucks might not have very many miles in the oil field, but they have lots of engine hours. So another thing you might want to watch out for, because when you're out on those staging pads, it's so hot. Not many of those trucks have APUs or anything, so they have to turn them on to keep the AC on. And I know my truck, it was almost ran 24/7 because it was just too hot. You have to run those trucks, so, and then that causes it to break down, and then you're just sitting there without money. But these are some things you might want to consider before going to the oil field.